The future of war has begun. Weapons are finding enemies and shooting them out of the sky on their own using artificial intelligence. This gun is called Bullfrog, an autonomous weapon station that uses AI to help find, locate, and eliminate drones.
Robotic guns are going to completely change the battlefield. Trying to make the first safe AI gun for the battlefield, we're actually helping the operator take a step back and make better battlefield decisions. So whereas before they would have to use a joystick and control these weapons and spend a lot of time aiming and worrying about that, the AI is just assisting them in that process. And so this allows them to be a little bit higher level and think a little more clearly about the battlefield and give them more time back.
The gun is designed to shoot down small targets in battlefields like Ukraine, where drones are increasingly carrying explosive payloads.
Today is the smallest the drone threat will ever be. It's only growing from here. All future wars are drone wars. And these are small drones that cost about $1,000, and they're taking out $1 million pieces of equipment, artillery, tanks. And we saw this happening on the changing battlefield, and we said, we need a better solution to shoot these things down cheaply.
Bullfrog can be placed on the backs of trucks or watercraft and work with an operator miles away.
This is a precision robotic application, and to hit a small drone, you need a computer application to do it. An actual human wouldn't be able to move the joystick fast enough.
New AI inventions like Bullfrog are increasingly getting the attention of people inside the Pentagon.
Every single company that does business with the DoD is emphasizing that they are capable of incorporating AI into whatever their military technology is. It exists as a military buzzword right now. At the same time, there are companies that really are built around AI as a core aspect of all of their product offerings.
For decades, prime defense contracts usually went to companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, and General Dynamics. Now, tech companies with names like Anduril, Palantir, and Scale AI are changing the landscape.
And now there is a culture of Silicon Valley, what I would call patriotic Silicon Valley startups, where you have young folks that are very motivated to bring these technologies for the defense of the nation.
Some critics warn that this startup culture could lead to an arms race between companies, and that could lead to safety concerns.
I want to be clear that the rollout of AI-enabled weapon systems that are produced through startups very often are fielded or prototyped in the field before they are refined. That means they're not really ever finished, or they need a lot of further iterations. There's a lot of failure baked into this kind of process of prototyping and testing things out in the field.
We don't have not enough weapons, not enough platforms to carry those weapons.
One of the biggest names in the startup weapons space is Palmer Luckey. He was the teenage inventor behind the Oculus headset. Now he's the 30-something Hawaiian shirt-wearing entrepreneur behind a major new weapons player called Anduril. Luckey says the Pentagon has been stuck in the past.
Your Tesla has better AI than any US aircraft. Your Roomba has better autonomy than most of the Pentagon's weapon systems. And your Snapchat filters, they rely on better computer vision than our most advanced military sensors.
Luckey's California-based company has created a series of autonomous AI-infused weapons, from submarines, anti-drone rockets, to a pilotless jet fighter named Fury.
We spend our own money building defense products that work rather than asking taxpayers to foot the bill.
In the nation's capital, new defense tech companies are setting up shop in nondescript offices just miles away from their big-name counterparts. And at this 3-day defense conference in downtown, new startups mingled with Pentagon brass, and AI was a key selling point for tech companies looking to network.
We just saw significant capability gaps and the schism between how government technology operated and what we saw in Silicon Valley. And we thought that there's a lot of opportunity in defense. And we also just thought that building hardware is way cooler than building just another piece of enterprise software.
Martin Slosarek is the co-founder of PicoGrid, another California defense startup building an AI-enabled battlefield network that can help drones, cameras, robots, and other weapons work with each other under one system.
You see more and more individual hardware systems like drones, ground-based vehicles, unmanned surface vehicles, integrating platform autonomy, and that's control systems that allow the hardware to operate autonomously or semi-autonomously for certain periods of times.
To be fair, some US weapons like the Patriot missile have had highly sophisticated, near autonomous capabilities for years. They can detect and track targets automatically, though a human usually has to authorize the launch.
So if you have dozens or hundreds of missiles incoming, we don't want a human being having to click on every single one of those things. And that was a decision that was made decades ago for systems like Patriot, for systems like Aegis, which is a Navy system that has a similar role to play.
But what is new is how modern machine learning and AI are starting to let multiple weapon systems make critical decisions on their own.
And then you have the mission autonomy, which is, hey, how do you take all these things together and weave them into unified operation according to certain rules of engagement?
The Pentagon does have a policy that outlines how AI weapons should be used. It requires human judgment over lethal force, though it leaves some gray area.
But none of that, when DoD 3000.09 was written, was looking at artificial intelligence and machine learning as it is existing right now.
The United States is certainly not alone in investing in AI weapons. China, Russia, and through necessity, Ukraine are also making big investments. Ukraine is even experimenting with so-called swarm technology, where groups of drones decide amongst themselves when and where to strike.
If robots can perform those incredibly dangerous tasks, what military on Earth is going to abandon that in favor of putting their countrymen's lives at risk when they don't have to?
Still, big questions exist. For one, if an autonomous AI weapon makes a mistake and hits a wrong target, who's accountable? And just because an AI weapon tests well, does that mean it's really ready for the fog of war?
They are wowing, the DoD, whoever is present. So there will be increasingly a push towards integrating these systems that may not be ready yet in the wild, integrating them in the battlefield. And a lot of this has to do with what we perceive as competition in this space. So we perceive increased sophistication from China in AI and autonomy. They're driving very hard. I believe that the incentive to full autonomy, it's too enticing at this moment to resist.
There are calls for increased regulation. Debates about AI weapons have been taken up by the United Nations.
It's always tough to uninvent technology, for sure. But that doesn't mean that we can't have guardrails, that we can't take a step back. What happens to our moral responsibility when our own agency is taken out of the lethal decision loop? The history of warfare tells us that there's an increasing possibility that ethical restraint or moral restraint becomes eroded the more you're distanced from the application of force.
But back at Bullfrog headquarters in Texas, the company says they've doubled in size this year, and production is ramping up for both US and international clients.
I can see in the far distant future, a world where it is machine be machine.